Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tony De Angelo's PM Coast to Coast. Now, here's your host, Tony De Angelo.
And a very good afternoon to you, all our friends and fans up and down the stations of the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I am your host, Tony De Angelo, and man, I've got a show for you. I've been doing shows now for 13 years, and I have had a wonderful time. I've met a lot of wonderful people. I've been able to help a lot of people, but this is a gentleman whom I am so pleased to be with. His name, Pat Williams, author of over 100 books, sports executive, incredibly sought-after motivational speaker. Get this, father of 19 children, 14 adopted, and a cancer survivor. Pat is going to talk to us about his new book, Character Carved in Stone, speaking of virtues taught at the United States Military Academy in West Point. I can't wait for this. So I'm sure you can't either. So what I would like for you to do is sit back, relax. We're going to have a little fun. And we're going to be talking to Pat in a couple of moments right after these retromercials. We'll be right back right after this.
Ideal's Robot Commando is here to help you. He's your one-man army. No enemy can destroy him. He fights off tanks, hurls missiles one after another. Even a squadron of planes can't stop him. Robot Commando fires his secret weapon. He takes orders from no one except you.
Forward!
Ideal's Robot Commando is battery operated to obey your command. Adjust the control, speak into the microphone.
Left! Fire!
Ideal's Robot Commando is here to help you. Look for your Robot Commando. He's looking for you.
What are you listening to? This Remco transistor radio I made myself. Want to listen? He's a ball game. It's a real radio and it works great. Can I build one too? Sure. Remco makes it real easy. All you have to do is put together all the parts that come in the Remco kit. The transistor, the tuner, and a separate loudspeaker for broadcasting. Can you do your own broadcasting too? Yeah, sure. I'll do the announcing with this microphone while you work the radio. This is radio station REMCO, Remco, the do-it-yourself radio station. Oh boy, we're radio engineers!
Fellows, get your Remco radio at your favorite toy store. From $3.95 to $9.95, every boy wants a Remco toy.
Alerting the stations up and down the line. Pat Williams up next here on Tony De Angelo's PM Coast to Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, up and down the coasts of the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, I'm honored today to be joined by this fine gentleman. His name, Pat Williams, author of 100 books, sports executive, motivational speaker, father of 19 children, and cancer survivor. Pat has a new book, which I'm telling you to get. It is a must-read. It's called Character Carved in Stone. It deals with 12 virtues that are inscribed on benches at the United States Military Academy. We'll go through those with Pat, but it's absolutely unbelievable. Pat takes those virtues and he describes them through the lives of our great military leaders. Pat, I can't tell you how honored I am. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, Tony, thank you. Nice to visit with you, and I'm looking forward to our chat.
I certainly am as well. And I look at your life and I look at all the things you've done, and, you know, we've never had an extended conversation. And, you know, you've been an inspiration to me for many years in everything you've done. And, you know, all these things you've done. Pat, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
Well, Tony, from the time I was 7 years old, I knew exactly what I wanted to be. A Major League ball player.
No kidding.
My dad took me to my first big league game when I was 7 in Philadelphia, and I fell in love with the sights and the sound and the smell and the color of baseball. I knew then exactly what I wanted to be. Well, I played ball through school, high school. I was a quarterback and a point guard and a catcher, and I went to Wake Forest to play baseball there for 4 years. And then I got into professional baseball. I spent 2 years as a minor league catcher in the Phillies system, 5 years running minor league ball clubs for the Phillies. And then 51 years ago, Dr. Jack Ramsey, then the GM of the 76ers, hired me to help run the front office, and I've been in the NBA ever since. So I've been in the sports business, Tony, and from the time I was 7, that's all I really cared about.
That's amazing. Now, the Phillies that we saw in the 60s, I mean, I was a huge Dick Allen fan. I mean, he could do things that, you know, crushing a baseball that I've never seen. Who were some of the guys you were playing with?
Well, my first year in Miami, 1962, I was a catcher. My battery mate was one 18-year-old Ferguson Jenkins.
Oh, my Lord.
One of our outfielders was Alex Johnson, who went on and had a long career in the major leagues, including won a batting championship one year in the American League.
Yeah, he was an excellent hitter.
Those were the two best Phillies prospects that I was with. You mentioned Richie Allen. Well, in 1963, in Miami, one of my teammates was his brother Hank Allen, who went on to the big leagues and also had a pretty good career. And then a little footnote to that, in 1966, when I was the general manager of the Phillies Farm Club in Spartanburg, South Carolina, our first baseman was a youngster named Ron Allen.
Yes, I recall.
The youngest of the Allen boys. He got to the big leagues briefly with the Cardinals. So my life was pretty well entwined with the Allen brothers. And yes, I am in accord with you. Dick Allen was one of my all-time favorites. And the sight of him taking that huge bat that he carried and parking one up over the roof at Connie Mack Stadium out into the darkness. Oh, boy. Phillies fans from that era will never forget him.
That was a sight to behold. It really was. This new book, Character Carved in Stone. And I'm just going to make a general comment. When I look at your body of work of 100 books, so many of them deal with management and leadership. And one thing I want to tell you, Pat, where you particularly helped me this week and honestly this morning, I think with a lot of people that run businesses and, whatever endeavors they are, and like, could I be left alone? Will these people go away so I could do what I need to do? And one chapter in the book, or one little part of the book, and I can't tell you exactly where it is, where you said, do not look at this as an imposition. Look at it as that you are an agent of healing and change in a world that badly needs you. And I can tell you that thought really held me together.
Well, background
Please.
on the new book, which, by the way, is the 110th book that I've been fortunate enough to pen over 45 years. Some years ago, I was invited up to West Point to speak to the sports teams at Army and the coaches. I had a wonderful time doing that. And then they gave me a tour of the campus. And that's a moving experience. You know, to think of all the history that took place there, and you see the different statues and the monuments and the cemetery at West Point. Well, anyway, there's a little park up there called Trophy Point on the campus. It looks out over the historic Hudson River. And as I was going through that little park, I noticed a bench, a stone bench. And I looked further, and I noticed that there were more benches. In fact, I counted there were 12. And for some reason, I decided to look at those benches more carefully. I'm glad I did. Because engraved at the end of each bench was a word, a different word. Words like compassion and courage. Words like integrity, loyalty, trust, responsibility, those kind of words. And I thought, boy, there's got to be a backstory here. Well, there was. And in 1935, the class of 1935 at West Point donated those benches to the school. And their committee selected those words. Words designed to inspire students and motivate them to live up to those words. The future military commanders, you know, to really have those words buried in their souls. And so I thought, boy, I don't think anybody knows this. My reaction was, this has got to be a well-kept secret. Well, the publisher liked the idea. We decided to do a chapter on each word, and then try and figure out a West Point graduate who might best have modeled
Best embody
the word.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how the book came about, and it's just been released, Tony, and we're greatly encouraged with some of the early feedback.
It is such an amazing work, and in your estimation, what are the 5 ways, you know, those of us who, like myself, I run this broadcast endeavor, and during the days I masquerade as a tax practitioner, a trust officer. How does this apply to me or other people in business? What are 4 or 5 ways that the book and the virtues in the book can help us be more courageous and help us to do better in our daily endeavors?
Well, Tony, as people read this book, they're soon going to find out that this is really a leadership book. These great West Point leaders we use as examples, but what I really hope is that people will read this book and come away saying, as a result of reading all of this information, I feel better equipped in my role as a leader. That's my hope for this book. Because, Tony, everything rises and falls on leadership. It always has, and it always will. And the future of our country hinges on getting this next generation of young leaders ready to run with the baton in their hands. So I hope this book will inspire men and women across the board to really take their leadership roles, to a higher level, to another spot on the ladder. That's what I really hope. And that having those words, embedded in their brains, but more importantly, to really see how these West Point legends went about the way they led.
Does it trouble you today? And this is almost a, probably an obvious question. If you look at the climate of our social and political, and not to get political, but our society today, does it trouble you when you look to see what's happening as to the lacks of leadership, or are you encouraged with some of the things you see, or both?
Tony, I am encouraged. I see a wave of really sharp, bright young people coming along. I really do. And that's so important if America is going to remain a strong, vibrant nation under God. There is no guarantee that America is here forever. There's no guarantee of that. Our country was formed miraculously in the 1770s, the 1780s. It was an absolute miracle. And I feel that God's hand was on it totally. But my point is, this next generation of leaders has got to know enough about our history, first of all, and they've got to have a total dedication to the importance of democracy, a total dedication to the free enterprise system, total dedication to the fact that God is still running things.
I understand.
Still in charge.
And when we get into the book, one of the things that really struck me was that the compassion of great leaders. Now, we've all worked for people or worked under people that, for some reason, compassion was something that they never seemed to show. You mentioned compassion is not incompatible with leadership. Why do some people believe that a good leader cannot be compassionate?
Well, I'll tell you what, in that chapter that you just mentioned, Tony, the model that we used was Ulysses S. Grant, which may surprise people. He was a hard-nosed general who had one mission, and that was to win the war. A lot of soldiers died under his leadership. He was known as Butcher Grant. However, when you really study Grant, he truly cared about his soldiers. He had a great compassion for them. And I'll tell you something else. He had a great, great tenderness for horses and animals. There was one example in the book where during the war he saw off on the side of the road a soldier just whipping and beating his horse unmercifully. Well, Grant stopped. He was very, very angry. And he went over and challenged that man that if he ever found him doing that again, there would be severe punishment. I mean, that's how much he cared about the horse. So, yes, another way I think of wording compassion is probably people skills. Great leaders have a heart for people. They care about people. They're interested in other people. They have empathy for other people. I guess what I'm trying to say is they love people.
And they care about them.
That's a great earmark of outstanding leaders. They truly, truly have a heart and a concern and love for people.
Pat, if you had to name a Mount Rushmore, 4 men or women who are great military or business leaders, and I realize here I'm catching you on the fly, name a couple who would be there and why.
Well, it's a good question. You've got to put George Washington on that list, because of his 8 years of leading our forces that created a new country. Won a war against the greatest military machine in the world at that time, England. So Washington is there. You've got to put Ulysses Grant on that Mount Rushmore.
Interesting.
who was he was the man in charge of our military during World War II. He really saw it. He wanted to lead the D-Day invasion, but Roosevelt needed him back in Washington. Roosevelt said, "I couldn't sleep at night if you were not here." But Marshall was the man behind our victory in World War II. So there's three, and four would be Dwight D. Eisenhower, who had he was appointed to be in charge of the Normandy invasion, the battle that brought the war against Germany eventually to a conclusion. And Ike had enormous responsibilities, enormous pressure. Much of it was just dealing with people like Winston Churchill and the British generals and FDR and General Marshall and George Patton. Ike had the ability to deal with all of those difficult personalities. So, how's that sound? Washington, Grant, Marshall, and Eisenhower.
Just fine to me, sir.
Start carving them into the stone, Tony. Go ahead.
I will, thank you. And what I'd like to know is, how does a man write over 100 books?
One sentence at a time. Maybe even one word at a time. I write a little bit every day, Tony. If you look at that as one huge chunk, I mean, you wouldn't even start. But I'm constantly researching, and I do a little bit of writing every day.
And you know what really caught me in your book, and believe me, if I had known this years ago, it would have saved me tremendously, but it'll certainly save me in the future. One point you mentioned, I believe it might have been the chapter on General Marshall, where you feel you can't go on, you just say to yourself, I can do this for one more day. And then the next day, say you can do it for one more day, and you'll eventually find yourself out of the muck.
Well, Tony, I encourage people in all endeavors, whether they are parenting in a home with young children, and it seems, I'm failing miserably, or coaching an NBA team, or running a startup business. I mean, there's so many moments when we feel discouraged, feel that we're never going to get there. And my counsel is, hang in there, one day at a time. When John Wooden was in the 8th grade, his father, Joshua Wooden, handed John a little slip of paper with some rules for life. And one of them was, make each day your masterpiece. I like that. Make each day, just one day, make it your masterpiece. And then tomorrow do the same thing. Don't worry about 2 weeks from now. And above all, don't fret over things that happened 2 years back. Because you can't change them. You can't redo things in life. Oh, you can learn from them. But just tackle one day at a time. Make each day your masterpiece. There's a good word from Coach John Wood.
Well received over here in Pomfret, Connecticut, sir. I can tell you that much.
Good.
19 children, 17 grandchildren. All of your endeavors. Do you ever feel at times the world might be closing in on you as far as the demands of so many? And how does Pat Williams cope with that when that happens?
Well, Tony, we adopted 14 children over a 10-year period. These kids all came from other countries. International adoption is not for everyone, but in our case, we felt it was for the Williams family. Yeah, there were many periods when I was wondering, what have we gotten into? Well, the good news is the children are all grown. 33 to 47 is the age range. And our 20th grandkid is on the way. And I try to live by that philosophy. Just take one moment at a time, one day at a time. Don't get in a rush. Can't wish your life away. I remember years back when I was coaching the Bulls, or GMing the Bulls, our coach was Dick Motta.
I remember.
Used to say, I can't wait for the draft. Or I can't wait for training camp to begin. And Dick would say, don't wish your life away. Meaning, don't neglect today. Max out today. Feast on today. Pig out on today. Suck the marrow out of the bones of today, Tony. How's that sound?
I'm just here, Pat, just shaking my head and really drawing in all of these things and, seeing my own sins in the process. Thank you. I'm really, really, really appreciative. And you're absolutely right, because as we both know, tomorrow's not promised to us.
And the most wonderful thing, among the most wonderful things that God has done for us, He does not reveal to us our future. I mean, for example, if he did, and we learned that in 6 months we're going to be diagnosed with cancer, or 1 year from today, our very best friend is going to die. I mean, God in His love for us has not done that. He just allows us enough vision to live today to the absolute fullest. Tomorrow, will take care of itself. Absolutely.
Amen.
Let's all work together to max out today and feast on it, enjoy it, live it to the fullest.
I like that. But what I don't like is we get into our closing moments, and you are a motivational speaker. You are constantly on the move. You've been an inspiration to so many. Where do our friends and fans get in touch with you to speak to them and to follow all of the myriad of endeavors, as my beloved deceased rabbi client would say, using the word myriad? I loved it. And all the things you do.
Well, Tony, let me share a few things here. First of all, the new book is called Character Carved in Stone. The author is Pat Williams. The publisher is Revell, Revell. Go up to Amazon, go to BarnesandNoble.com, BooksAMillion.com, and order the copy. That would be great. Secondly, my contact is Orlando Magic Pat. The Twitter page is, or my email is pwilliams@orlandomagic.com. pwilliams@orlandomagic.com. Always love to hear from people, Tony. I enjoy that very much.
Well, and I'll tell you, and I'll close with this. About 15 years ago, you were doing your book on Jackie Robinson, and one of our on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, we have I'll use the word myriad again, of jocks and hosts, and very esteemed gentlemen. And one is Ron Rabinowitz, who is a boyhood friend and a lifelong friend of Jackie Robinson. And Ronnie's become a very good friend to me over the years, and he shared a lot of the virtues that you shared in your book, and you and I had a very brief conversation at that time, a couple of stories I was able to relate to you that hopefully were of hope to you from my growing up in Stamford, Connecticut. I never met the man, I'm very sorry I didn't. But And you really were one of my first contacts in this business, and you had shown to me such graciousness and kindness, and I thought, the fact that this man has shown kindness to me, Pat, I just wanted to tell you, I've never forgotten it, and I've always appreciated it, and I'm ever so grateful to you then and now.
Well, Tony, thank you. I appreciate that very much. I've enjoyed our visit. I hope people enjoy this new book.
And just to...
Tony, always good to talk to you.
And you too, Pat. Thanks so much, and appreciate all you've done here, and continually keep us posted on what you do.
Good. All the best to you. Thanks, Tony.
You too.
Some people have big plans after school. You know what Elliot's going to do? Jeff, too. Elliot's at work on a book report using scripted on Radio Shack's Color Computer 3. It hooks up to his TV. And Jeff's at his Radio Shack Color Computer 3 playing the newest football game. But wait, what's Elliot doing playing new Super Pitfall? And Jeff's having a blast with a new math tutor. You never know what you might try with more than 100 programs for fun and learning. Radio Shack's Color Computer 3 comes with everything you see here. Other items each sold separately. Only at Radio Shack.
Special thanks to our honored guest, author, sports executive, dad, and motivational speaker, and all-around great guy, Pat Williams. Go out and get his book, Character Carved in Stone. I'm telling you, it's a must-read. We'll be back next week with a very special guest. I'll let you know who that is. So, from Tony De Angelo, and from all the jocks and hosts on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, we bid you a wonderful day. And let's take Pat's admonition. Let's take this day, I'm going to start using that, and suck the marrow out of it. Because remember, tomorrow is going to take care of itself, and tomorrow's not promised to us. There's a lot of good stuff we can do today. Let's go out and start doing it. You guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you real soon. God bless and take care.